Happy New Year and happy 2024, guys. I hope you all had a really amazing 2023, but I am so over it and I'm so excited to jump into 2024 and see what this year brings us all. When starting a new bullet journal, I always want to start with a 2024 yearly first page. This year I did this kind of like calligraphy-esque writing. I honestly got my inspiration from Pinterest, so check there if you ever want really good inspiration. I am somebody that definitely likes to sketch it out with a pencil before I actually go in with a Sharpie marker. So that's kind of what I did here. I kind of sketched out a little rough draft of what I kind of wanted the cover page to look like, and then I started filling it in with a Sharpie pen. These are my absolute favorite pens for bullet journaling. You can honestly get them anywhere. You can get them at Michael's, Walmart, literally the dollar store. They're so good. But oh my god, this is so fun. I've never done a voiceover before. Let me know if you like this style. I could definitely do more voiceovers in the future. But after I've sketched out my 2024, I then go in with a black marker and I fill it in to try to make it look a little bit more professional. Also, if you notice me flipping the page, that was me checking to see if the black was bleeding through. I just recently got these markers, so I didn't know how they would perform yet. But so far so good. It is a little dark, of course. I mean, it is a black marker. It's going to be dark on the other side, but thankfully they did not bleed through. But these are the Tombow ABT water-based duo markers. I got them from Michael's. And what's really cool about these is you can actually buy them either in like a pack or you can buy them individually. So if you're only looking for one specific marker color, you can just grab one and go, which is really nice. And because I had sketched it out with a pencil, this is me just kind of erasing all the pencil marks that I'd laid down. And this was actually like the first year I've actually done like a yearly theme. I normally only theme out each month. I normally leave the first few yearly pages kind of blank, kind of plain. But this year I was kind of inspired to do a bit of a theme this year, and I think it turned out actually really cute. But again, I got the inspiration for this cover page on Pinterest. Again, that's a really good spot to look at for inspiration. Another good spot I like to get inspiration is Amanda Rach Lee. She is quite literally the bullet journal queen. And she actually came out with her own bullet journal. Like, she's quite literally also a marketing queen. Like, such a good idea. So if you don't have the time to do like a whole bullet journal, I would definitely check out Amanda Rach Lee's journal, and it's like basically already done for you. You can just like color in the pages, which is really cool. But I really liked how the cover page turned out. I think it turned out quite cute. Okay, next I'm going in with my savings page. So I like to track how much money I save throughout the year. It's a really good like at a glance to see how well I saved this year. But I've been doing this kind of like mason jar money saving page for the past few years that I've actually been bullet journaling. I think this is a really cute spread. It's also pretty simple. It's not too complicated, but yeah, I think it's really cute. Also, I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm pretty sure I also got inspiration from this page on Pinterest. But yeah, I just have these two little coins kind of going into the jar to symbolize me, you know, putting money into my savings. And then I kind of like to have this banner at the top that just says 2024 savings. And then on the side, I'll write savings amounts, and then as I save it, I'll color in the jar. So hopefully by the end of the year, the entire jar will be colored in. I then like to have a little total, like a little tally at the top where I have my total that I was actually able to save that year. I definitely have a more in-depth savings plan, budget. I like to track every expense that I spend. I like to figure out how much I spend each month, how much I save each month. So I have that all documented on an Excel sheet. But having this in my bullet journal is a really nice at a glance to see how much I've been able to save. But if you guys are interested, I could totally do a whole video on how I budget, how I fill out my Excel sheet, how it's spread out, just the way that I like to keep track of things. Then I just like to do a little quote and kind of set up the intention for the new year. And the quote that I actually chose, again, inspiration from Pinterest, but it's also kind of like a mantra or a manifestation. And having it in the beginning of the book kind of sets up that intention for the new year. And because it's like right in the beginning of the book, it's something I'm gonna see almost every single day. But the quote just says, "Everything always works out for me. I'm so excited for how great today is going to be, and I truly am the luckiest girl in the world." So this next page here, I like to kind of lay out my yearly goals. It is really easy to kind of forget what your goals are for the year, so having them laid out like this is a really good at a glance moment. I also like to track my followers on all my social media platforms. This just helps me to understand how much I've grown over the past year, see what months I did the best at, maybe also see what that correlated with, like did I do a certain type of video or content that performed really well, and maybe I should continue doing that. As you can see, I started adding more to my yearly goals. Of course, I have some cliche yearly goals, but I also have some others that I really want to work towards for this year. I then decided to kind of do this like pink purple border again, just so it kind of went on with the pink and purple theme that I was going for. Even though it is a more simple theme, I feel like it really does bring it all together. But I would love to know your yearly goals or your New Year's resolutions. If you have any so far, please leave them in the comments below. I love to see your guys' ideas and also maybe add them to my own yearly goals. But just continuing on with that like purple pink border to just continue on with the theme. Even though it is a lot more of a simple spread, I think it does look pretty cute, and I think it goes along with the rest of the 2024 theme that I was trying to go for this year. Then for the next page, I like to track my collaborations that I did in 2024 along with my bead sales. So I have recently started to do beaded earrings and beadwork and things like that. So I like to kind of track what I sold and how much I made throughout the year. And that's kind of the same with the collab tracker. Of course, I want to track how much I made that year with collabs, but it's also a good way to keep track of who I've collabed with, what brands reached out, how it worked, what month, things like that. Also, just keeping track of all of this is going to be really helpful for when tax season comes around, because then I can figure out how much I'm going to owe on taxes, which isn't fun, but we all got to pay them, so it will just make that process a little bit easier. I then decided to kind of outline everything in black, and I was actually really skeptical about this process. I was like, damn, I really hope I don't regret doing this part, and I hope I didn't just ruin the whole design. But I actually think it made it pop a lot more, and I think it brought the theme together. So my next spread for 2024 is actually keeping track of the books that I've read through the year. I've never been much of a reader, but last year my New Year's resolutions, one of them was to actually read a book. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know that there's definitely a lot of people out there that read a book in a day, but I always hated reading growing up. I absolutely hated it. I think it was because throughout school and university, we always had to read. It was make sure you read chapters 4 to 10 by tomorrow, and I feel like reading just felt like a chore. But now that I'm no longer in school and I'm not forced to do all these readings, I wanted to actually try reading and take a chance on it and see if it was something I enjoyed. And last year I ended up reading 4 books, which is amazing for me. I know that again, some people probably read 4 books in a week, but for me that was a really big goal, especially since my main goal was to at least read 1 book throughout the whole year, and I ended up reading 4, which was really great. And I'm also hoping that by making this spread, it's going to force me to want to fill out all the boxes that I've created. So that's 7 books for this year. So we'll see if we get through that, but also leave some recommendations down below of books that you think I would like. I'm still kind of figuring out like the genre that I like the most. I think for the most part of last year I read all romance novels, and they were okay. Some of them were a little cliche, some of them were pretty boring, but there was a few that I actually really liked. So I think romance is kind of like on my radar a little bit, but I'd love to try some other genres like horror or fantasy. I think those could be really cool. But then, so anyway, I went back in with like the pink and the purple markers to kind of bring in the 2024 theme again. I think this spread looks really, really cute. I'm actually really proud of it. I'm really excited to fill it in, and hopefully having all these boxes will make the Virgo in me actually read this many books so that I can fill them in. So now that is my 2024 spread. I feel like I should have had a small outro before I just jumped right into January, but I did leave a blank page between 2024 and January just in case there was any other spreads that I wanted to add, or if I wanted to add more to the book reviews for 2024. But yeah, we just left a blank page in between, so we'll see what happens with that. But for now, we are starting our January 2024 spread. Yay, I'm so excited. I decided to kind of go with this like fireworks, New Year vibe. The whole theme is kind of different tones of yellows and blacks, but I think it came out pretty cute. Again, the theme for the January, I believe I got some inspiration on Pinterest. Really check out Pinterest, guys. It is amazing. At this point, I feel like we should turn this into a drinking game, and every time I say Pinterest, you take a shot, which is crazy. After I finished writing out January, I went back in with a black marker to kind of, again, bring that like calligraphy vibe. I just did a short quote again on the other page just to start off the new year, and it says, "A new era of me." Then this is where I start my January at a glance page. I draw out the whole calendar month so I can see it at a glance. This has been a spread that I've been doing for years. I love this little at a glance moment. It really helps me to understand what's going on in this month. And it's just a really good way to keep me organized in my day-to-day life. Then I just doodled a little firework at the top by January just to kind of continue on with that like firework theme. I then write in the days of the week and then all the numbers of the calendar. Then here is where a lot of the fun begins and the color starts to show up. I like to have this little legend at the side that kind of has everything listed out so I can look at my appointments, my events coming up, the days that I have work, any birthdays that are that month, as well as payday. And then I can also put in anything else that I see fit as the month goes on. And then after my legend is made, I will fill out the calendar to the best of my ability as of what I know is coming up. You know, things like appointments and events, those come up later in the month, but I did my best to try and fill it out so that I can see what's going on. And then I added a little bit of that yellow just to tie in the yellow theme. Also, I just realized that when I said I drew the firework, I didn't, but I drew it now, so there it is. Also, I did do this over the span of a few days. I personally can't sit for too long and do this whole thing at once, so I like to spread it over a few days. So if you see my clothes change, like for example right now I'm wearing a different shirt, that's why, because I did it over a few days. But this next spread is something that I actually just started to introduce last year, which is monthly goals. You know, it's a lot easier to achieve monthly goals than it is yearly goals. And coming up with a few monthly goals each month that you can work towards is a really good way to also just feel like you are achieving something, feel like you're doing good, have these goals to work towards at a shorter distance than seeing like a whole yearly goal that you feel like you can achieve by the end of the year. This is just a really good way that I like to do some short-term goals. And then continuing on with that like firework theme, I'd like to do this little thing where I do a little bit of a design in the middle and then I kind of do a little border on the outside. But yeah, really excited for monthly goals. Last year, actually, one of my New Year's resolutions, as you can see, I just wrote it at the top, is to learn a new recipe each month. And this was something that I stuck with and I thought it was a really good idea, and I'm taking it into 2024 with me. This next spread is kind of my habit trackers and my step trackers. I've recently started to try and track my steps to the best of my ability because for the longest time when everybody was like, oh, I'm trying to get 10,000 steps, I thought it was just like a goal or like a trend. I didn't actually realize that the average person is supposed to get between 7,000 and 10,000 steps a day. And so I didn't know that. So now this is me trying to stick to that and try to get between 7 and 10,000 steps a day. Some days are definitely harder than others, especially some days that I work from home. I find it's really difficult to get up and get those 7 to 10,000 steps. Even going to the gym, I'll go on the treadmill for like 30 minutes and sometimes that's not even near 7,000 steps. So it is a little difficult, I find. But yeah, this is definitely something I want to work towards in 2024 for sure. I've actually been thinking about getting a walking pad for a long time. I've been seeing all these like girlies on TikTok with their walking pad at home and I'm so obsessed with them. I want one so bad and I feel like it is a really good idea. Again, like I have a corporate girly job, so I do work from home some days and I feel like that would be a really good way to get in my steps on the days that I work from home. But I'd love to know, do you have a walking pad or are you interested in getting a walking pad? Because maybe this could be something we do together. We both get walking pads and we just do our little walks every day. So now I'm moving on to my habit tracker and I really love my habit tracker. I like to keep track of this every single day and I feel like it is kind of motivational, but it is also like at a glance to see if you've been doing your habits, if you haven't been, and then after that you can kind of figure out how to implement it more, how to get those habits every day and meet those goals every day. But I do find that having my habits at a glance is a really good way to keep track of them. And so the habits that I like to track is water and fitness. I want to make sure I'm drinking enough water each day and working out pretty frequently. I want to read and be creative. So that's keeping track of if I read that day, if I was doing something creative, if I was social, or if I'm having quality time with my partner. I like to track how much takeout I get and how much alcohol I consume so that I know if I need to cut back or not. I also just recently started tracking my hair wash because I don't wash my hair every day anymore. I heard it's really bad for your hair. So I've kind of been changing that. And then also self-care. So I noticed that there's some days that I definitely haven't done self-care and this habit tracker really helps me keep track and make sure that I am doing things for myself. Now we're getting into my weekly spreads. So this is where I can see my week at a glance. I can see what's going on each day. I've tried a few weekly spreads over the years, but this is the one that I have found to be the most efficient for me. I don't make it too detailed or too crowded. It's really, this is my week, this is what's going on, very plain and simple. And thankfully, January 1st was on a Monday, so it fit perfectly with the New Year spread. So I like to do my spreads Monday through Sunday, and then that ends up leaving one extra box because there's 8 boxes and there's only 7 days of the week. In the 8th box, I put notes. So anything can go in this. It can be like, buy so-and-so a birthday present this week, or make sure to fill out this form by this week, and things like that. And I find that this is just what works best for me and that keeps me the most organized. So of course, after I have everything written out, I have the days of the week and then the numbers of the day, I will then do a little bit of detail, a little bit of doodle up at the top there where I have space. So again, continuing on with this like firework theme. I'll then go in with those different tones of yellow and kind of just like mark out the days of the week. And this just kind of helps separate the days a little bit. With the 2 tones of yellow, I found it didn't go that well, but when I do multiple colors, it does look a lot better. Maybe I should have did black, but it's okay. Then I mark down what's going on in the week, and again, it's just a week at a glance. And this is where those colors come into play from the legend from My Calendar at a Glance. I can look at my calendar at a glance, and then I can refer to the weeks and see what is actually going on that week. And so if I have a green dot on a Friday, I can go to that week in my bullet journal spread, and then I can see what event is going on, what time it's happening, and all the information associated with it. So here I'm just repeating that process, and I just repeat this process for the rest of the month. And I know this video is coming out a bit late, so I of course have finished the rest of the month, but in this video I only did the first 2 weeks, and that'll just let me get a head start on the month. But here the fireworks come again. I think they look really cute. I honestly don't mind this spread at all, but I think next month is going to be a lot more colorful. Yay! So that is my bullet journal spread for 2024 and my spread for January. I hope this gave you some inspiration for design and spreads. Let me know if you like this type of video. I could totally continue this for the rest of 2024. I'm actually really happy with how the spread turned out. And I hope you did too, and I hope you enjoyed this little video and this little journal flip through. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And again, I'm so sorry this is so late. February is like tomorrow, basically. So if you're interested to see my February flip through, that'll be soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!